Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is @ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.
Welcome along to the Racing Post weekend tipping postcast. I'm Sam Laurie, standing in for Bruce this weekend. I'm joined in the studio by Ed Quigley and on Skype from Ireland by David Jennings and Paddy Power. There's lots to get through this weekend. We'll be looking ahead to Super Saturday at Newbury, the Betfair Hurdle, of course the feature race there, but it's also the return of Altior and Native River. Good card at Warwick on ITV2 and some decent action in Britain and Ireland on Sunday to look ahead to. But we'll get straight on then with the big betting race of the weekend, the Betfair Hurdle. And Paddy, how are you betting on this one?
Yeah, it's well, Jenkins is a favourite at 8-1, so it's a pretty open field, so it's a good place to start. Cape Grace is 10-1 along with Layler, Irish Row. Blue Rouge is 12s beside Verdana Blue and Kalashnikov and Knock on Noose as well. And Waterlord 12-1, Silver Streak 12-1, 14 Highbridge and Lockderg Spirit, and 16 and bigger the rest. So yeah, so 8-1 the field, so wide open. Yeah,
hugely competitive, Ted. At this stage, anything that jumped out of you immediately here?
Yeah, I mean, it's arguably one of the most competitive renewals of this race for a decade, I'd say. You can make a case for pretty much over half the field. But no, I tipped Laylor anti-post for this race in the Racing Post and RFO, and offer marker 137. I do think there's got to be more to come. Lightly raced, has had its win looked at since its last run, and I think that's a horse definitely on the up. You could argue whether its form has been let down to some extent by a couple of the horses it's raced against recently, but nonetheless, I do like the unexposed profile, and it does get in here off a light mark.
What about any at big prices?
Yeah, if there was
known
one
as long shot,
yeah,
Ted,
indeed. If there's one
a massive price,
bonkers price in here, it would be Divin Bear for Paul Nicholls, Sam Twister Davies. He's at 33.42 or something absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he was beating the neck in Fred Winter, and I saw him in the paddock on his last run at Ascot and his comeback since he's transferred from Nicky Henderson to Paul Nicholls. And I think, rather like myself, Sam, it'd be fair to say he was carrying a bit of condition. I think, to be honest with you, he looked like he'd be badly in need of a run and travelled well for most of the race, and then just went out like a light in the home straight. But he's been dropped £4 for that. He's now down to 144, and he's starting to become of interest from a handicapping perspective. You know, he's a horse of a touch of class, as I said, just touched off on the line at the Cheltenham Festival not that long ago, still lightly raced, and I would expect that horse to come on a lot from that run. I mean, he's really weak in the betting. I think he almost doubled in price on the morning of the race, so I clearly expect a lot more from him with Sam Twister on at a big price. I
wonder what the reaction at Seven Barrows would be there if Nicky Henderson's got 5 in the race and one of his ex-horses goes and does it. So David, what's your take on the Betfair Hurdle?
Yeah, it's obviously a wide open affair, and you can make cases for any number of them, but I'm going to do my best impression of Longshot Ted and tip a big outsider here. I fancy Cor Blimey to run a big race for Sue and Lucy Gardner. When I went through this race earlier on in the week, like, you can obviously make cases for so many, and of the ones towards the top of the market, I thought Verdana Blue had a great chance if the ground was a little bit quicker. But Cor Blimey, the reason I think this horse is a big chance is I go back to the Lanzarote at Kempton, which I thought was arguably the hottest handicap hurdle of the season so far. It was won by William Henry. Top of the Game has come out and won since. And I know Red Indian was beaten during the week, but it ran quite well, I thought, at Toaster. And Cor Blimey that day circled the field on the home turn, went from being about 8th. Lucy went around the whole outside and almost took it up at the second last and made a little bit of a mistake. The problem with this horse is it's not a good jumper, and that might patch it out. But if it does get into a rhythm, I think 2 miles around Ascot could be perfect. Around Newbury, sorry. Yeah, good spot. And I think a flat track, I think 2 miles. I think 2 mile 5 was an experiment that almost worked. It probably gets about 2 mile 2 or 2 mile 3. Like, if you go back into his bumper form, he beat Ballyandy in a listed bumper at Ascot. And the plotting shed was behind it that day as well. It's got cheek pieces on for the first time. I think this horse, it's one of these horses that I think has loads of ability, and we haven't seen the best of its ability yet. And I think cheek pieces will help it concentrate better. I just go back to that move in the Lanzarote around the home turn. I thought the horse had to have extreme ability to go from where it did to where it was at second last. I think the drop to 2 miles off the same mark at 132 with Lucy taking off £3. It's 25 to 1 at the minute with Paddy Power. It could even be bigger tomorrow morning. So I'm going to take a stab each way on Cor Blimey.
Perfect. 25 to 1 each way then for David Jennings, Cor Blimey in the Betfair Hurdle. Paddy, what's your take on it?
Yeah, funny. We should be doing a combination exactor forecast or something because the two lads are both on 25-1 shots, and I actually quite fancy William H. Bonney 16-1 because I just thought that the little break that he's had, he travels so well in his race, and I just think the little break that he's had might have freshened him up a little bit. And also Alan King just had a few winners just on the board recently, so he looks like he'll be going right back into form. And I just thought, it's one of those races, isn't it? Like you can make a case for about 10 or 12 of them, as they all said. So it's one of those races where you pick a big price, back them each way, and be greedy. Do the forecast, the TriCast between the three we've said. Brilliant.
So yeah, plenty at big prices then in the Betfair Hurdle. Moving on to the 150, the opening race on ITV on Saturday. It's going to be a recurring theme through the day, the return of an old star. Barters Hill, last seen in action back in November 2016. He takes his chance in the 150. And Paddy, what price is he?
Yeah, he's 7-2. It's 7-2 each of himself and Bastion, another Alan King horse. And it's 5-1 Lochder Farmer and King Uther. 7-1 and the Eagle has landed. 8-1 Talk is Cheap. 10-1 Book of Gold and 14 Indian Stream. But yeah, Barters Hill is going to be all the talk and all the focus here. And to be honest with you, you'd love to see him come back and put up a big performance and hopefully win, because I mean he might just be freshened up for the festival, that kind of way. So he'd probably come on a lot for this, I would imagine. But Ben Pauling just kind of coming back into form again. Speaking of trainers in form, so I think Barters Hill is the one you'll be watching in the race. It's hard to know just how forward he is, but I think keep an eye on him and with maybe the festival in mind.
Is he a backable price?
At 7-2, he might be worth it, because at his best he'd be much shorter than that in this race, wouldn't he? So I think I think he probably is. It's probably worth it. It's speculative few quid rather than a get stuck in price thing.
And Ed, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm a Barters Hill fan for this. Off 142, Grade 1 winner in the handicap. Listening to Ben Pauling, it sounds like they have got a lot of work into him because basically they say he needs to show enough in this, with the aim being the Stayers Hurdle. So there's no point of going to have him running here
turning
with
up
a lot to work on,
yeah,
because they won't know either way. So I imagine he'd been entered up on a lot of races throughout January and February, and I think they've just been getting as much work as they can into him to get him cherry ripe for this. And okay, yeah, the old ability may not be there after injury, but he's still lightly raced. As I said, he's a Grade 1 winner in a handicap off 142, and the Ben Pauling yard are starting to really hit top gear at the moment. So yeah, he's good enough for me at his price.
Okay, David, Ted thinks class will out then in the 150. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think you're getting an incredible price about finding out if Barters Hill is as good as he was. Like let's be honest about it, this is a terrible race, and you're getting to find out at 7-2. Like it'd be a different story if you're trying to find out at 6-4. But like 5 of his last 13 runners have won. Now I know we're doing this on Friday before racing, but 5 of his last 13 runners, Ben Paulings, have won going into Friday. All the vibes from the yard seem to suggest that Barters Hill is showing all his old zest. He's off a mark of 142. Like he was 150 going into the Albert Bartlett back in the March before last, and he's gone really well fresh in the past. So everything suggests that Barters Hill will show us something, and if he shows us anything at all, he'll bloody win this race. So I think 7-2. As I said already, I think 7-2 is a great price to find out. If you're wrong, what about it? You're getting 7-2, but I wouldn't be one bit surprised if we went off about 7-4.
Okay, so a clean sweep then for the guys in the Barters Hill in the 150. What about another returning hero then in the 225? Native River heads 3 runners in the Betfair Denman Chase. What price is Paddy?
Yeah, so Native River's odds on 8-11, Cloudy Dream 9-4, and Sapphire Daru 9-2. I'll be interested to see whether DJ's willing to have a look at Native River at 8-11 in this race. Now, just to, like, if you want to give me my own opinion first, I think Cloudy Dream, you got to back Cloudy Dream probably. It's the main danger. Race fitness is going to count for a lot here. And both Sapphire Daru and Native River obviously have Gold Cups in mind. A boat ran well last year in the Gold Cup, not to be forgotten. And Native River is having a great preparation for the Gold Cup in theory this year, a different preparation anyway. But I think Cloudy Dream's race fitness probably, well, not probably, I think he's at 9-4. It's worth having a look to see what that's seeing through.
Okay, so Cloudy Dream for Paddy. Let's hope we don't have one tip for each of the 3 runners here. Ted, Native River with or against?
I'd be against. I'd be tentatively with Cloudy Dream. The race is a bit of a head scratcher because, again, unlike Barters Hill, I think it'll be really tuned up for this. I get the feeling Native River and Sapphire Daru, this very much is the stepping stone for the Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Native River's never won first time out.
He's never won first time out, and he's obviously had that little setback. It's all going to, for him, it's going to be all about March. It's all going to be about 4.5 weeks' time. The thing with Cloudy Dream is still not totally convinced he stays the trip. Listening to Trevor Hemmings, it sounds like they want him to run in the Gold Cup. I get a feeling perhaps the Ryanair probably is the race for him, but I think there's definitely
They've got waiting patiently for that.
Exactly. I think there's a conflict of interest somewhat. But put it this way, Cloudy Dream has the race fitness on his side, and the ground here is going to be nowhere near as bad as it was at Aintree last time out, where he travelled all over. Definitely Red before emptying in bottomless ground. That form's taken a big boost, of course, because Definitely Red came out and hacked up in the Cotswold Chase. So with race fitness on his side, an easy 3 miles at Newbury, I'd take on returning Native River and Safford Row with Cloudy Dream.
Okay, so 2 for Cloudy River. David, what's your take on it?
You're splitting your chances there, Sam, with Cloudy River.
So 2 for Cloudy Dream. What's your view then, David?
I actually don't know, to be honest, Sam. You know, I'm always one to try and throw an opinion, but I think that the most startling aspect of this is the field. Everybody was giving out that there was no British runners at the Dublin Racing Festival. There's no bloody British runners in Britain, never mind in Ireland. They can't even find enough good horses to run in a Grade 2 chase as a Gold Cup trial. 3 runners, it's an absolute disgrace. I don't know where all the horses have gone in Britain. But, you know, we were having columns and arguments and discussions about why there was no British runners at the Dublin Racing Festival. The fact of the matter is there's not enough good horses to run. And I think that is certainly an overwhelming team of the card at Newbury. 2 3-runner races. It's really disappointing. Like, as regards this race, I genuinely haven't a clue what's going to happen. Native River, I'm not a huge fan. The fact that the Gold Cup is so open this year, he could come into the reckoning. The thing about Cloudy Dream is I'm not sure he's a certain stayer, especially at Newbury, especially the way Native River runs. I'm sure, I know it's his first run of the season, but I'm sure Richard Johnson is not going to dawdle. I'm sure he's going to try and turn it into a test to try and take Cloudy Dream out of his comfort zone in the latter stages. I'd imagine it's going to be something like this race last year where something will travel all over Native River and he'll probably pull it out of the fire after the last on the long run in. So I don't know what's going to win the race, but if you're a punter, I would imagine the best way to go would be play in running. Maybe when Cloudy Dream is travelling all over Native River at the second last, maybe back Native River then, because I think he'd be fit enough probably just about to win.
And do you have a stronger view on Altior then in the next, the Betfair Exchange chase at 3 o'clock?
I absolutely do, yeah. I think come Saturday evening, I think we'll all be saying, my God, why did we not back Altior at this price? Altior is arguably, is he the best horse in training? He's certainly one of the best horses in training. And, you know, he's had the wind up. He has, been showing absolutely everything that he used to show at home by the sounds of things. His race course gallops have been fantastic. He is a far better horse than Politolo. Far better. I know the racing suggests he's £5 better. I think he's at least £10 better than Politolo. It's a 2-runner race. You know, there's no way Nick he'd be running Altior if he didn't think he was ready to go. And in a 2-runner race, I know Paddy Power are 8-13 Altior. I think there might even be a bit of 8-11 out there. I think he's an absolute certainty. Absolute certainty.
Paddy, do you see Altior getting shorter on the day?
I don't know. I think Henderson's kind of been really bullish and then kind of caught himself that, actually he might be vulnerable first time out, trying to cover all his bases, I think, in the run up to this. I think he's obviously keen to get a run into him before Cheltenham. But 8-13, I think, probably represents his price. But Politolog, the one thing about Politolog, the way the price on it, 8-13, 6-4, and 33 Valdez. But the thing about Politolog is he reminds me of Dodging Bullets or a horse like that, where he's never going to get the credit that maybe he deserves. He's just found his trip and it's kind of getting better with each run and keeps just winning what's in front of him. So I think he's a good test for Altior first time back. And I think at both at their best, Altior will be much shorter than 8-13. But I think Politolog, with a bit of race fitness, I think he's going to really put it up to him. And I think Nichols will really see this as an opportunity to poke Henderson in the eye, I think. So I think, I'd be thinking Politolog has a decent chance to turn him over.
Do you think the Champion Chase winner is in this race?
If Altior wins, yeah. Basically, I think look, if you look at the Champion Chase betting, I mean, we had Min was brilliant at Leopardstown. You got Special Tiara ran really, really well at Leopardstown, considering he'd be coming back to get better ground and everything. So, yeah, I mean, Altior wins this. It's going to improve a lot for it. He's going to be very short price for the Champion Chase. But if Politolog wins or the two of them finish neck and neck, then it makes it really interesting. Yeah, 'cause you're trying to weigh up English versus Irish form. Old school, trying to weigh up the Irish form versus the English form, you know.
Yeah, since they never take each other on during the season this time around. Ted, we're split. One for Altior, one for Politolog.
No, I'd say Altior's far from a certainty. I'm in the Politolog camp here. First time back for Altior on soft grounds. Due to rain all tomorrow afternoon. Politolog's fine in a bog. He's race fit. You know, he's run a Tingle Creek. He's on fire at the moment, over 2 miles. And I think by the time the festival comes along, obviously Altior on spring ground at Cheltenham, it would be a much different story possibly. But no, I think Politolog's... it's an unknown, isn't it, with Altior? You don't quite know what Nicky Henderson's left on him with the festival in mind. And Politolog he's on fire this season. He's the one horse who's doing it. You know, we've had lots of talk about, you know, everything else that's not on the track. This is the horse that's on the track and he's winning Grade 1s. And I think at Newbury on soft ground, he's going to give Altior a good race. I mean, probably won't have a bet in the race because it's just you're guessing with Altior, aren't you? That essentially you are guessing. You don't know what's still there. But Politolog, I think, will really serve it up to him. And my plan will be Politolog to beat Altior and then back Altior for the champion chase.
Right.
That's probably the angle.
Are we really guessing though, Ed? I don't think we are guessing at all. This is not an injury or like it's a simple procedure that seems to have gone extremely well. And like I don't fall into this trap about Altior needing good ground at all because arguably two of his best performances. One was in this race last year when he beat Fox Norton by 13 lengths and he was absolutely exceptional. Politolog beat Fox Norton by a half length in the Tingle Creek and was lucky to do so. And then you go back to the race at Kempton when I think that was the last time before that he ran on soft ground the previous November. I think he won it by 63 lengths. He beat Black Horton that day. So like...
It'd be more fitness, DJ, than anything, rather than the fact he can handle the ground. Politolog will be as fit as a flea and likes the ground. Will Altior be... I can't imagine Nicky Henderson's got him 110% for tomorrow.
No, but surely he'll only need to be like 85% fit to beat it. Wow. Politolog, and I'm sure he will be.
You better phone up the handicap because £5 and 5% is a big difference there.
Are you telling me if at Cheltenham the Queen Mother Champion Chase was a handicap and Altior was given Politolog £5, you'd be fancying Politolog? Not a hope.
Don't think there'd be much in it, but on spring ground, I think Altior would win it. But, I mean, we're going around in circles here. I just think tomorrow, first time back, on soft ground, Politolog is the race-fit horse. You know, we've seen it before. Tank could just empty with Altior, but you know, he's priced accordingly to do so. So, you know, I'm just going to sit this one out and hope Politolog wins.
OK, let's look at the rest of Newbury. DJ, anything else on the card you fancy?
Yeah, I have my nap at Newbury, but I don't think I'm allowed to announce it until we come to the naps.
No, you've got to hold on to that for
later. In the 410. It's in the 410, so that might get people excited or not excited.
Paddy, anything else at Newbury that's not your nap?
No, just worth mentioning, I think, the bumper at Newbury could throw up a real Cheltenham contender. I don't know who it's going to be.
Brilliant race.
It looks like a very strong, very strong bumper. So I think it's one definitely to watch, and you just see what the market moves go like. I think with regards to the bumper, and just keep an eye on that with the other eye on the Cheltenham bumper, because I think you will have a big player in the Cheltenham bumper after that. Yeah,
that's the 440 at Newbury on Saturday. Ted, anything else at Newbury for you?
Not at Newbury, no, not outside those races.
Well, up next we'll be looking at Warwick. First, though, just time to announce the winner of this week's competition. This week's winner of a free £25 bet is Richard from Gloucestershire. Many congratulations to you, and there'll be another chance to win on Monday's show.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new, fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18+, begambleaware.org.
3 competitive races at Warwick on ITV to look at now. We'll start off with the 205, the OLBG.com Mares Hurdle. Paddy, what are the prices for this one?
Yeah, so Midnight Tour is 6-4. Midnight Jazz this is a good opportunity to try and pull the wool over your bookie's eyes. Midnight Tour 6-4. Midnight Jazz 5-2. Jester Jet 9-2. Lamanver Odyssey 8-1. Love's Destination 8-1. Woodstone 1 25 bars. So yeah, so Midnight Tour for Alan King. As I said earlier, I think Alan King kind of just back in good form now, and this was even Anti-Post. It was kind of joint favourite with Poppy K, who's not running, obviously. I think it just leaves it open for Midnight Tour. I think he's 6-4. I think he just wins. Or she, rather. It's a Mares Hurdle, isn't it?
Midnight Tour for Paddy. For you, Ted?
Yeah, boring, but I'm Midnight Tour. Officially rated 147. If she can run to that mark, she's going to laugh at these. I don't think she sees out 3 miles. I just think the petrol light comes on in the closing stages. Has run credit over further, but I think back at 2 miles 5, yeah, she's the worthy favourite. 6-4, not my kind of bet, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if she just won this.
DJ, is this simple? Midnight Tour?
No, I don't think it is at all. I don't think she deserves to be rated 146. I know I'd go with the handicapper there, but with the difference between Altior and Politolog, but God, she'd have no chance in a handicap off 146, I don't think. Midnight Jazz is rated 136, and I'm not sure, I actually can't say 30 properly, apparently. That was one of the things that came out of my Australian trip. I used to get slagged for saying 33, and it's actually, how do you actually pronounce it?
33.
30, yeah, I forget the H every time. But Midnight Jazz is rated at 136, and I don't think she deserves to be rated 136 at all. So for that reason, given that I think the ratings could be all wrong, I'm going to chance Emma Lavelle's Woolstone 1, who's only rated 123 and has a mountain to find on the figures, but it's lightly raced. It's only had 7 starts. It's only had 3 for Emma Lavelle. And I liked the way it got the job done at Doncaster last time. That was a really deep handicap hurdle. It was only rated 117, but really dug it out. And I think a lot of these are kind of fakes, to be honest with you. And I think 123 doesn't kind of... I think Woolstone 1 is a lot better than 123 rated mare. And I think the other 2 are probably not as good as their ratings suggest. So for that reason, I'm going to chance Woolstone 1.
Excellent. And what price is she, Paddy?
8 to 1 Woolstone 1.
8 to 1 then for DJ in the 205. Moving on then to the 240, the Kingmaker Novices Chase. Just the 4 runners, but a really competitive looking race. Paddy, take us through the prices.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. St. Calvados 8 to 15, North Hill Harvey 11 to 4, Diego de Charmel 7 to 1, and Drumcliff the Rag at 20 to 1.
You got a view?
Yeah, I just think St. Calvados, I think it's the one. I mean, it's a bit short at 8 to 15, I think maybe, but it was the one I'd be kind of looking forward to seeing because kind of came over with a big reputation from France, kind of done everything that's been asked by Harry Whittington, and is kind of probably a genuine Arkle contender. And it's odds on, but I was hoping to be more like 8 to 11 rather than 8 to 15. So, I mean, North Hill Harvey is obviously a decent horse. I think St. Calvados will just win and keep improving.
Mm-hmm. St. Calvados for Paddy. For you, DJ?
Yeah, I don't know, Sam. St. Calvados has been very good, and it seems to really like Newbury as well. And it's rated 154. I think there's probably too much in the betting between St. Calvados and North Hill Harvey. I know North Hill Harvey has to give St. Calvados £7 and is rated £2 inferior, so it's £9 worse off than it should be. But he brings the best form into the race, I think. It was obviously shade disappointing at Sandown when it was beaten in the Henry VIII Novices Chase. But you go through that field and you'd Sco Royal, Finian's Oscar, Capitan, Brain Power. It was beaten 11 lengths. It was a better race than this race. I know that certainly North Hill Harvey looks to be a better horse around Cheltenham than anywhere else, and I think Dan Skelton has basically admitted that. But 11 to 4 and 8 to 15, I think there's probably too much between them. I wouldn't be backing anything in it, but I think it'll be a bit closer than the betting suggests.
Mm-hmm. And Ted, what's your verdict?
I think St. Calvados the most likely winner. It's a funny old race this because originally the Skelton said North Hill Harvey was going to go straight to Cheltenham. Mm-hmm. So this appears a little bit of an afterthought in some respect because they've seen the entry, seen it cut up and decided to run him. Diego de Charmel was a really interesting one. I actually spoke to the owner the other day who said the horse bolted up in a Mickey Mouse race around Newton Abbot back in September, October, but looked a natural over fences, and then was about an inch away from losing his life. The horse had a severe cut to his leg when beaten behind another horse of Harry Skelton's back at the same track last time out. Well, the plan will be they're trying to get him to the Arkle, and I think whatever he does today, look out for him next time because on the spring ground he will run a much better race. But I think, yeah, it's a non-betting heat, really. I think St. Calvados on these terms, on soft ground, is the one they've got to beat.
OK, well, we finally have a bit more of a competitive race on TV at 3:15. The Warwick Castle Handicap Chase at 7 runners. Paddy, how do they bet?
Yeah, so this is where's it gone? I'm after flicking to the wrong one. 3:15. Yeah, there we go. I was wondering there. I flicked to Punchestown by mistake for a minute. So only 7 runners though. Clymore Lock's a favourite at 3 to 1. Temple Hill 7 to 2, along with Value at Risk. Then you got 5 to 1 Thomas Crapper, 11 to 2 Castet, 12 Cogri, and the outsider 16 to 1 is Pressurize.
Ted,
I've got an absolute cliff horse in here, which is driving me mad. But Castet looked an absolute will beater when he bolted up at Sandown at the back end of last season. I mean, he jumped for fun at a horse with huge engine. Now, whatever reason, I don't know whether he's got super glue on the bottom of his feet or something, but he just looks like he's forgotten how to jump. Having said that, he did shape with a lot more promise at Cheltenham last time out in a race which was much more competitive than this. He was at 141 at his peak. He's been dropped to 133 here. Trip and ground and track are fine. If he blows out here, I'm going to have to give up with him. But I think if he could put it all together and show what he did at Sandown going back last March, this is a poor race in relation to what he's been tackling recently, and I think he's got to go well.
Okay, last chance saloon then for for Ted. DJ, who wins it?
I feel your pain, Ted. Yeah, I have so many cliff horses. There's not enough room left on the cliff.
There's not enough cliffs.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I think forgiveness is a trait in punting that is probably a desperate trait to have, and unfortunately, I have far too much of it. But yeah, the thing about this race, I think the key thing here is I find around Warwick that jumping is crucial. And Castet, I think, certainly has to go left-handed. But I just wonder, is he a good enough jumper?
That's what I'm saying. His jumping's gone.
Yeah, he's certainly incredibly well handicapped. Like, after he won at Sandown, he went up to 141. He's back to 133 now. And if he does get into any sort of rhythm, he's got a cracking chance because he's thrown in on the best of his form and he's quite lightly raced as well. But I go through the field and I wonder, is Value at Risk a good enough jumper to get round Warwick? I'm not quite sure. Thomas Crapper hasn't ran in 297 days. Temple Hills is another one who's really struggled with his jumping. And, you know, he pulled up twice at the end of last season when jumping went to pieces. Coggery Hill is usually safe enough, but 2 mile 4 around Warwick, unseated rider last time. And by process of elimination, I got to Kyle Morlock, who I think will jump around Warwick. And I think Warwick is a track that'll actually suit Kyle Morlock. And nicely enough, it's got dropped £3 for finishing third to Undersow in the Clarence House. That was over 2 mile 1. They've been experimenting trip wise, and 2.5 miles, 3 miles, 2 mile 5, back to 2 miles. They don't really know what Kyle Morlock's best trip is, but the fact that he won the Grade 1 at Fairyhouse last season, that suggests to me that 2.5 miles is his best trip. And I think a track like Warwick, where there's so many jumps in a row, I think he'll stand up to the test. Ground is in his favour. I just think he's the best horse in the race. He's not a great price, but I think Kyle Morlock will probably win.
Okay, Kyle Morlock for DJ, and for you, Paddy?
Yeah, I was starting with Kyle Morlock, but then I just thought, like, it just hasn't been great since he joined Harry Fry. So he's, I don't know, 3-1. I thought he might be tight enough, but then the one I'm going for is only 7-2. Value at Risk is a cliff horse of mine. I think just looking there, he's 9 years old. I've been backing him since he was a bumper horse, but so he's cost me a right few quid. But hopefully he'll come right. He'll be a young improver maybe at 9, but he's 7-2. If he gets his jumping together, I think he might be a bit of value. He won over was it £8 higher over hurdles last time, so maybe he might have a decent chance. Might be in form.
Okay, excellent. So just before we get the naps then, anything else elsewhere on Saturday that anyone wants to mention? Paddy, we'll start with you.
No, I'm happy enough with the 2 big meetings, and I'll have my nap to come.
Okay, DJ, we've still got your nap from Newbury. Anything else worth a mention?
Yeah, I'm still convinced that Spader, who runs in the 450 at Warwick, I'm convinced he's exceptionally well handicapped off 107. He can be very free. He used to be with Ger Lyons on the flat, and he can be really, really free and neat settling. And the fact that he hasn't ran in so long is a worry. But I just wonder, have they sorted out the freeness, and hopefully they'll have got him settled. Off a mark of 107, I think Spader could take a bit of beating in the 450 at Warwick. There's racing in Ireland at Naas, and it's I suppose we're getting so close to Cheltenham now, it's going to be hard to kind of find Cheltenham clues, and the cards are kind of deteriorating. I'd imagine that Pete So High will probably win the 320 for Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy. The 355 is the Opera Hat. It's the listed Mayor's Chase, and we'll all get another glimpse of Benny DeJew, who's looked exceptional so far, was brilliant at Limerick last Christmas, and then did very little wrong at Carlisle on its sole start this season. It's rated 142. I'd say that probably underestimates her ability. She's very, very good, but she'll need to be. She's given way to Denario de Zobo, who's turned into a really likeable chaser, and Asturia, the second string from the Mullen stable, pretty good hurdler as well, rated in the 140s at one stage, and that's a really good race with the 3 of them in there. As regards the best bet on the card, I thought it might be in the 425. That's the Adair Manor Opportunity Handicap Hurdle. And I just thought Ardna Corrig off 99 could be interesting for Oliver McKiernan. His horses are running a little bit better now. It was slightly disappointing at Goran on really heavy ground at the Thyestes meeting, but the ground won't be quite as bad here. And I just thought off 99, Killian Leonard takes off £2. I thought that could go well, and it'll probably be a decent enough price as well.
Yeah, 18 race maiden, the best bet of the card on the card at
like
Nace.
it,
Best value, best value, best value.
Okay, time now for the naps.
This will not be beaten.
And we'll start with you, Ed.
Barters Hill in the 150 at Newbury.
Okay, and for you, Paddy?
Cloudy Dream in the 225 at Newbury.
And we've been waiting it for nearly the whole show. DJ, the nap at Newbury.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. I really am. I just can't wait till the race is priced up to see
Come
what
on.
price it is. It's running in the 410 at Newbury, and if you go down the race card, he is number 5. He's an 8-year-old. He's carrying 10-13. He's rated 135, and his name is Duke de Champs, who was second to Rocklander just after Christmas. And I thought that was such an eye-catching run. I just watched that race. There was only a small field. There was a few fallers. Looked like beating Rocklander for much of the home straight, but just looked as if it just needed the run. He's a gorgeous big horse that was always going to make a much better chaser. He's rated 135. Holy God, if he's not better than that, I'm obviously seeing things I shouldn't be seeing, but I think he'll win. Duke de Champs, 410 Newbury.
Fantastic stuff. Sunday next.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet the next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi everyone, you're watching the Weekend Tipping Postcast with me, Sam Laurie, Ed Quigley in the studio alongside, and we've also got David Jennings and Paddy Power on Skype from Ireland. We're looking ahead to Sunday's action now. We'll start off with the €100,000 Grand National Trial at Punchestown. Paddy, how do you bet on this one?
Yeah, so we have Children's List is favourite at 5-1, Maldini 6-1, By Desil at 8-1, along with Wounded Warrior and Folsom Blue. Then you get 10-1 Out Sam, 11 White Arm, and 12-1 Space Cadet. Yeah, an open race, decent pot.
Yeah, and after all these 3-4 runner races we've been talking about for the rest of the show, really want to get stuck into. What's your verdict on it, Paddy?
Well, I think that there's a few in here you'd usually have in your shortish list. So Out Sam was probably disappointing. Looked it was going to be very well backed for the Thyestes, wasn't it? But then the Stable Companion went and landed a big touch because it just joined Gordon Elliott. Space Cadet was quite well fancied. It ran well on the Paddy Power at Christmas. But you just wonder about these stay and chases, how many times you can go back on softish ground for the same horses. There's one team of connections that when they have a plan, it pretty much never goes wrong, it seems. And that's the connections of Maldini. And he's 6-1 for this. I think this is a kind of not a recovery mission, but this is a one to win on the way to go. I think for the 4-miler at Cheltenham. So I think Maldini at 6-1. I think he'd be quite well backed and he'd be tuned for this. And I think he'd be a really good chance. He'd be a good run for your money.
DJ, is Maldini on your short list?
Yeah, has a big chance, Sam. I can certainly see where Paddy is coming from. When they do set one out for one, they rarely miss. And you know, Maldini, he's had a funny old season. He's been bumping into Presenting Percy, a Stable Companion, a couple of times, and obviously ran against Invitation Only last time at Punchestown. 1-4-3. It's probably got scope for improvement off that. Probably needs a real test. Like you saw it last year in the Kim Muir. That was 3 miles 2 at Cheltenham. Was staying on strongly at the end. Didn't get the clearest of runs up the home straight. It was a funny old race, but certainly stays. And I'd give it a big chance in that race again this year if it ran in it. Could go for the 4-miler, and certainly has got a chance here. But the value option, I think, is a horse that Paddy hasn't even mentioned in his betting list, and that is Woodswell, one of the many Gordon Elliott trained runners. It's rated 135. I thought it ran really well in the Thyestes off the same mark. It finished 5th to Mombeg Notorious. It was travelling so well coming to the third last. Just got a little bit tired. The conditions were absolutely atrocious that day. But I think it's open. It has certainly got scope for more improvement over fences. He's a horse that was always going to do better over fences. He's only had 4 runs, and I think the day he won his beginner's chase at Fairyhouse, he was quite impressive there. I thought he jumped really well. I think a test like this is exactly what he needs. He's rated 135. Chris Meehan, who rode him in the Thyestes, is riding him again. He takes off £5, and Gordon Elliott in these big stay and handicap chases is the king. And I'm hoping that Woodswell can give him another big pot.
And Paddy, what price is he?
Yeah, Woodswell is a rewarding price of 14 to 1.
14 to 1.
That'll do.
Ted, you got a view on this one?
No, I haven't. Out Sam used to be a cliff horse. He's gone off the cliff.
There's no room left on the cliff.
Yeah.
Well, I see he's off 1-3-1 with Dennis O'Regan on. But no, I'm sitting this one out. I'm only concerned with Maldini, as I do wonder whether he prefer better ground, possibly. But I do think he will go pretty well in the 4 mile. I remember that Kim Muir, he looked outpaced over 3 1/4 at Cheltenham, so he's definitely got stamina in spades. And no, it's a race I'm going to let the experts deal with. I'm going to sit this one out happily.
Okay, DJ, this might be a risky thing to say, but can you mark our card then for the rest of Punchestown?
I can mark your card, and just for that, I'm going to do it as slowly as possible. And I'm only joking. 140, Enda Bulger holds the key here, the cross-country chase. He's got Auvergnat, he's got Cantlow, and he's got Josie's Orders. I just wonder if Auvergnat will be the one this time. Donny McInerney takes off £5. Been a little bit unlucky. He's failed to complete on 2 of his last 3 starts, but I think Auvergnat is the biggest danger to causes in the cross-country chase at Cheltenham. So I'm going to go for Auvergnat in the 140. Moving on to the 210, I think High Sparrow, trained by Joseph O'Brien, won a good bumper at Limerick. The 3rd horse, Diamond Turf, has since won a bumper very impressively at Navan, and that form looks good. Kesselring represents Willie Mullins, doesn't look a star, and there doesn't seem to be anything else in the race, so I think High Sparrow will probably win the 210. Riders on the Storm is a horse I like in the 240. Whether he's up to win a listed hurdle, I just don't know, but he's going to make a gorgeous chaser. Tom Taft thinks the world of him, and he was value for more than the winning margin at Navan last time. So Riders on the Storm gets my vote in the 240, and one more in the 315. Swing Bridge is back over hurdles off a mark of 105. Probably would have won a handicap chase at Punchestown last time off a mark of 118. That's a £13 higher mark. Absolutely clouted second last with David Russell. Lost all chance. If it was going to win that chase off a mark of 118, he's probably going to win here back over hurdles off a mark of 105. That's Swing Bridge in the 315.
Fantastic. Thanks, DJ. Really good card in Britain as well at Exeter. And Ted, I know you've been looking at this one, so do you want to take it away and mark our card for Exeter?
Yeah, it's just 2 horses that jumped out at me. I haven't actually got the times in front of them. I just written down the case and the name of the horses. But the per temps qualifier at Exeter on Sunday.
305.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers. Yeah, Solemn Grundy of Niall Mulholland. That's a really interesting type because he jumps okay, but he's not a chaser, put it this way. And I see he's back over hurdles off 132. His best form has come with plenty of cut in the ground, and I thought he'd be really interesting where trip, track and ground will really suit. But the one that's really jumping off the page to me Exeter on Sunday is in the Lovable Veterans Chase, where there's some absolute crackers in there.
That's the 335.
From medieval times. And there's a horse in there of Kim Bailey's Harry Topper, who at one stage I think we all thought was perhaps going to be the next Master Oates, but he suffered with so many injuries, bless him. But he was 4th in this last year, or £4 higher. I mean, the yard are absolutely flying. The ground, my parents don't live a million miles away from there, and they said the rain just keeps continuing to fall. It's going to be an absolute
He won the
swamp.
Denman Chase.
He won the Denman Chase, yeah.
Yeah,
He did, exactly. The ground will be a swamp down at Exeter. He won't have any problems with there. And as I said, the Kim Bailey team are flying. He won't suffer through fitness. You know, he's gone well fresh in the past. And I think Harry Topper against some equally out of sorts individuals, shall we say, with conditions to suit, he's got to go well off 140. Yeah, he really has.
DJ, have you looked at the action in Britain at all on Sunday?
I have, yeah, and I'm going back to the cliff. Is that all right?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, there's one of my cliff horses, one of the 2,373 cliff horses that I have. In the 305, Poker Play is a horse that simply has to be well handicapped off 128. Like, it ran at Wincanton on St. Stephen's Day, or Boxing Day as you call it, or Boxing Day as we will have to start calling it because of Racing UK. I think, I just think Warwick, 2 mile 5 around Warwick, I don't think that's what Poker Play needs. The time before it ran really well. It was well back for a 2 mile 5 race at Cheltenham at the Paddy Power meeting, as we still call it, Paddy.
DJ.
He ran really well that day, and that was off a mark of 131. They thought he could win off that mark. I do think a trip, a track, and ground are key to Poker Play. A big galloping track like Exeter is perfect. 2 miles 7 and 25 yards is ideal, and soft ground is absolutely perfect. So I'm going to give one of my many cliff horses, Poker Play, another chance in the 305.
Fantastic. And Paddy, anything for you on Sunday?
Yeah, a couple. I think, well, I agree about Riders in the Storm at Punchestown and the 240 that DJ already tipped up. And at Exeter, the two were, well, speaking of cliffs, one that his kind of handicap mark has gone down off a cliff is Ballynagore in the veterans chase. And it's moved
God, is he
stable
still
to Ian
alive?
Williams. Yeah, I know. He's only 12. He's only 12. He's moved to Ian Williams. So if there's anything there, if he finds the key to him again or whatever, obviously he'll probably lap these all. But then in the 410, I thought Elegant Escape as well is an obvious enough one because I did maybe get if Native River hasn't won, maybe get the Tizard stable back into the blue. I was thinking that about the Tizzards. I don't know if this is sensible. It's how my head works is that because the stable seems to be not in great form at the moment, that's really good for Cheltenham. Because it's kind of cyclical, so it'll come around, and then at Cheltenham time he'll be firing all cylinders again.
It seemed to go the other way round last year, didn't it? In form all season, and then went off the boil at Cheltenham.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
It's funny. I'm kind of a little bit like that in the lead up to Punchestown. I'm kind of like almost starting a Saturday, and I'm kind of going, geez, I actually hope I don't back a few winners here at the end of February because I don't want to use up all my luck for Cheltenham. So you're almost hoping the horse will lose, so you haven't used up all your luck for Cheltenham.
Well,
but I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at you, Paddy. You've tipped up a horse, Ballynagore. Did you have a look at its form figures there recently? I don't think I've seen this in a horse. PPP0B. But you're right. It could be chucked in.
Well, fantastic. I hope you use some of your luck this weekend then, having given all those tips. Do join us again on Monday. We'll be looking back on all the action over the weekend and also ahead to a fantastic card at Ascot and Haydock the following weekend. And if you do enjoy these shows, do make sure you rate, review and subscribe on iTunes.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and you'll get a free £10 bet the next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.